Good morning, y'all. Well, I'm going to title this video because I couldn't stop thinking about it yesterday that Alan Horvath told me to shut up. and no, I have not taken offense. And there's the ultimatum. I won't even admit to you, but there is. I have reason for titling it that. But yeah, it's a squirrel report. And look, I wrote notes this morning so I can focus and make sure I get all the squirrels in. And it's funny, I kind of started that way. Oh, I wanted to tell you that too. Okay. Oh, something. Email probably. Okay. I made playlist because I have a new subscriber from the RTR. I think it's the first one from the RTR. And I wanted to give him a heads up, in case he thinks I'm totally crazy, that there is some information here. And I went to my playlist and tried to put in things about living in the tiny and how I do things. And so that's under living in the tiny. I've also put all the squirrel, or I tried. I mean, there's so many squirrel reports, and before I started labeling them that, most of them were squirrel reports anyway. And there will be an explanation of why I call it the squirrel report, because people keep asking me, what is this with a squirrel report? I could subtitle it, "Let's go ride bikes." I used to do that with my daughters right in the middle of a conversation, because I'd be skipping around. And they just look at me, "Let's go ride bikes." I don't ride bikes, but it was just, we're a little distracted here. So, okay. So I did that. I put all the stuff in, or I tried put stuff in the playlist. My writings, are different. And so I put my writings in a playlist. So you can go there if you just want to see those things. So, let's go back up to the top here where, the video I put out that, that Alan addressed in his Walking in the Word on Saturday. What I realized with that video, there were so many people, wow, got a lot of comments, a lot of encouragement. And there were people that kind of felt the same way I did. It's like, we're just not so sure. And this is what I related that to, was when I was a homeschooling mom. And I didn't start until my oldest daughter was in the 6th grade, and I took her out of a school and started homeschooling her. And what I discovered over the next near 10 years, yeah, about 10, was it? I don't know. However long it took, because the two youngest ones were always homeschooled. So at least 10 years, maybe 12. So anyway, what I learned, there was so much opposition. And there was especially opposition to me because you might have noticed I don't really stay in the box very much. So I was known as an unschooler. I would start out with good intention. It's like, oh, I'm going to follow this curriculum. I'm like, nah, that ain't what I wanted. No. As a matter of fact, what came out of that, because I was surrounded by the majority of people really feeling like you have to do school at home. And I wrote, of course I wrote something. I wrote what I was trying to teach my daughters and the importance of it, rather than signing up for extracurricular classes to fill their heads. I was a firm believer in education is the lighting of a fire, not the filling of a bucket. Now that's not mine, but somebody else's I had heard. And so I wrote this thing, and I posted it on a blog or something. I can't remember, but it got picked up by a really, one of the leaders in the homeschool group, and it was posted on the internet. And you can Google it. It's under the name Betty Demers Parks, Parkes. And if you Google that name, that's pretty much the first thing that'll come up. And I never labeled it Corinthians for homeschoolers, but they did. And over the years, it made the rounds. I mean, it was back in the day when everybody got an email forward. It was in email forwards, and people used it, and eventually my name, it just, people were using it. And but anyway, lots changed since then. But this was the number one thing, was the persecution. When you really doubt what you're doing, you do one of two things. Either you turn and you just go back to the old way, or you really research it and it becomes a part of who you are. So, what has happened from the video where I questioned about the rapture is that there were comments, and I realized as I'm commenting back and replying to some people that that's actually a firm belief I have. It's down in there. It's ingrained. However, composure. I maintain my composure because I'm telling you, right now, I'm having a hard time. Because there are so many people talking about this week. Wow. There is a lot of stuff happening. I mean, big stuff. The big thing is a meeting of the 300, which I just learned. I wouldn't have known, except for I watched a video the other day. And see, I'm real bad. I just read it and let it go, because there's nowhere to share it. Well, I guess I could share it here, like in my description. Anyway, the point is that this is a big week for us, the next 7 days. As they like to say, it is a high watch alert. And so, anyway, thank you, Alan, because it really is true that, when I question myself or when other people question me, what has happened is it's just confirmed what I really believe. So I'm grateful for that. Squirrel, my earrings. Look, I'm wearing earrings. I always wear them on the Sabbath. They are stamped with the scripture, my heart rejoices in your salvation. I believe that's what it says. I would have to take them off and look. It says, it's a scripture verse. At the same time, it was a little girl, because I told you I used to sell at craft shows and farmers market. Well, there was a necklace. I bought this necklace for my cousin, Meta, and it was a boat. And it was back, I actually read the book. She and I read the book together and talked about the book, and it was called, If You Want to Walk on Water, You Have to Get Out of the Boat. And in the little boat, she had stamped in, get out. So that was something I have been doing for, golly, another decade. It's been a long time since, golly, yeah, over at least a decade since, because that was one of the last, I actually put that sale together at the church we were in and stuff. So anyway, did that, and said that, and I guess the last thing I want to tell you, remember what I'm sure you do, because a lot of you agreed that you have the same problem. If somebody says something to you, it really affects you, and it can stay there for a long time. Every morning when I make my bed, I am 60 years old, and when I'm making my bed, I'm thinking, Mama would not like the way I make my bed. I am a grown-up. I don't even have to make my bed if I don't wanna, but I do. And it's lumpy and frumpy, and everything's just kind of piled on there. And bless her heart. She made a bed look like nobody had ever slept in it. I mean, she'd take things apart and see, that's always in my head. Some things we just don't never get rid of, I guess. And it can stick in there. But for me, I guess I'm just a rebel because I'm like, sorry, Mom. It was also, she didn't want you combing your hair in the kitchen. You couldn't even walk in the kitchen with a hairbrush in your hand. She would just have a complete meltdown. And every time I brush my hair, you see where my kitchen is? You see where I brush my hair? I'm brushing my hair in the kitchen big time. So anyway, sorry. So yeah, those things kind of get in there and they just stick for a while. So I just want to thank everybody. That was the main point of this video. It's just to thank you for all of your kind and generous comments and encouragements, and I got emails and I got wonderful links, which is funny because a lot of people send me links to Alan's videos, and turns out I already watched it a lot of times, not all the time. Some of them are new because there's so many of them, and I just watch it again. It's yeah, because I need to hear things over and over again to really get them in there. And so this morning I don't even know what rabbit trail I followed about the 10 Commandments, but I've been watching a playlist of Alan's about the Torah. And also that video I watched that was about, there's a written Torah and there's a verbal Torah, and that verbal passed down, wow, that's really not good. Anyway, 10 Commandments, Torah, the law, all that. So that's what I'm doing today. And the wind is rocking the tiny. And you know, I realized a while ago I went out because I keep my laundry in the truck because there's only so much room in here. And I walked out and I was like, I thought it was cold. It's not cold. It's just really windy. And so I'm going to go out today and get some sun on my head. I realized I live in the desert. I should have a little bit more sun on my face. I look pretty white for somebody that lives where it's 70 degrees in January. So y'all, it's a heads up. Squirrel. It's a heads up. I just set my calendars up there on the wall this week. Oh, the letter. See? One more thing, and then I'm done. Back with the Revelation 12 sign, everybody's writing letters about aliens didn't get. That's what I put in my letter. Aliens did not take me. If I'm missing, this is where I've gone, and that letter is in my truck. They call them love letters, just to make sure, so that if anybody, they come up and I ain't here, but all my stuff is still here. If I've gone missing, that's where I've gone. And it gives them directions on what's in here. It's theirs. I basically just tell them about my journals, my Bibles, whatever's available here. So, see, I do believe. It's just sometimes I think, it's so much. And so how composed was I? Enough. I love y'all.